Hello, and welcome to this kind of just overview video with me, Mr. Ball, explaining what you saw in that last video in just a little bit more simple terms. So the name of the court case, you don't really have to remember it, is the Slaughterhouse cases. And what this does is really change who is in charge of enforcing or making sure that the 14th Amendment is actually followed, that Black people and everyone else's in the country's rights are respected, that there's due process and equal protection. Well, what the Slaughterhouse case decides is that the people in charge of enforcing the 14th Amendment isn't the federal government, like Washington, D.C., the entire United States, that's the federal government. Who is in charge of enforcing the 14th Amendment is the individual states. So if, let's say, in Georgia wants to pass a law that doesn't respect people's rights, that provides certain privileges for white people and puts bad things onto certain Black people. Well, some Black person might say, well, that violates my 14th Amendment rights, and they would be 100% correct. But that Supreme Court case says, well, that's Georgia's problem. That's not the United States' problem. If Georgia wants to violate the 14th Amendment, that's Georgia's problem. If Mississippi wants to violate the 14th Amendment, that's Mississippi's problem. And it really takes the control of who makes sure that people's rights are being protected out of the hands of the federal government, Washington, D.C., the entire United States, and puts it in the hands of the individual states. And of course, those individual states, especially in the South, are incredibly racist and are trying to reestablish a system of slavery. And as we're unfortunately going to see, they're pretty much successful. And this leads to segregation, the Jim Crow South, and a lot of things that are very bad and negative. But of course, it's important to know that how does Georgia get away with this? How does Alabama and Mississippi, all these other southern states get away with violating and ignoring the 14th Amendment? Well, it's because of that case you saw, the Slaughterhouse cases. It's very unfortunate, but it has a huge impact.